Welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth Liz Machette, and my guest today is Justin Crockett Elzy, and we're talking about the Sagittarius full moon. Hi, Justin. How you doing?
Good, 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 good. You mean the Gemini full moon?
Oh,
Full.
yes. Thank you so much for correcting
That's
me.
okay. It's great that you said that because the sun is in Sagittarius and the moon is in Gemini, but it has a lot of Sagittarius energy as we're going to talk about. So,
Yeah, I've had some very full, busy days the last few days, so lots
yes.
of fun. So thanks for that catch. Justin Crockett Elzy is an archetypal astrologer and Jyotish astrologer, teacher, author, and seer. You can reach him at his email address, justin.lz@gmail.com. I'm an astrologer, author, intuitive, and you can reach me through my website, alightpath.com. So we're talking about the Gemini full moon, and Gemini is a mutable modality, and mutable modalities complete and bring things to a close. Gemini is an air element, a lot about communication, ruled by the planet Mercury, and the full moon's a culmination time. Gemini is about thinking and communication, and the mantra is I think. And the Sagittarius sun is about adventure and expansion. Would you like to add anything, Justin?
No, I think you covered that all in a nutshell.
Thank you. So this Gemini full moon is also referred to as the wolf moon on December 4th, which is today. It happened at 3:14 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 6:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the moon's at 13 degrees Gemini and 3 minutes, and the sun's at 13 degrees Sagittarius and 3 minutes. And we're using the chart for Seattle, Washington. And Justin's going to lead us through the nakshatras.
Yeah, so one of the things we always like to take a look at are the lunar mansions, the Jyotish or Vedic Nashaktras are the lunar mansions, and these two are really interesting. This this full moon really is a transition full moon. I think getting down here to the end of the year, as you're going to see here with the nakshatra that the sun is in and the moon is in, is that we're all going to feel this kind of big shift now with this full moon. And so first we look at the sun. The sun is in the nakshatra of Jayesta in the first pada, which is ruled by fire. And to understand this nakshatra that the sun is in, we want to take a look at the ruling deity here. And the ruling deity for Jayesta is Indra, who is chief of the gods. So kind of think of Zeus or Jupiter or Odin. Those were all examples in cultures where there was head gods. And Indra is like Zeus. He's the chief of the gods, and represents. Whenever a person has a planet in this nakshatra lunar mansion, there is sort of this leadership comes through, the sort of this advocate for a cause. People who have this something in this nakshatra have to have a cause, and that's why we see the basis of above and below is to attack and defend, because the negative aspect of this is a person who's always defensive and arguing, but the positive, of course, of this is the advocate for a positive advocate for a cause. And so they'll tend to have a belief system and they will defend that belief system. But of course, the negative aspect is if you really hold on to that belief system too long. So the ability here, the Shakti power, is the ability to conquer and overcome. And so this is a generous advocate because it's in the first pada. The ruling planet is Mercury, and as you know, we've talked before, Mercury's playing an important role right now in the chart, and so there is something here to do with communications. The symbol is a protective talisman, as one of the symbols. So this is actually a really good nakshatra time to create a protective talisman. Um, and whatever that is for anybody. So this is what the sun's bringing in, sort of this energy of this is the time to advocate for a cause or something you believe in at this time of the year, and there's a lot of good energy for it. Now, one aspect here is you have to watch your communications though, because the negative aspect of this, or the darker aspect is harsh speech, and or critical or harsh or sharp speech. So again, the ruling planet is Mercury. Is how we're communicating. Of course, we know Mercury's in Scorpio right now, so that's something just to be aware of. So the next, and by the way, because this is the elder star, this is also a good time, as you're going to see, a good time of assisting elders, or taking care of parents or people who are older. Um, so let's take a look at the moon, which is sort of adding on to this energy. Now, the moon, Chandra, is in the nakshatra Rohini in the third pada, which is ruled by an air sign, Gemini. And by the way, that last, the sun's pada, Navamsa, is ruled by Sagittarius. So it's interesting. This one's ruled by Gemini. And the deity that's really taking the energy of this moon for us in as it becomes full here is Brahma, who is the creator. He's one of the three godheads. There's Brahma, the creator, Shiva, the destroyer, and Vishnu, the preserver. But Brahma is the creator. So this moon has a very energetic aspect for growth and growing and creating. And that's why we see the basis above and below is representative of the plants, the waters. Okay, so there's this need to, and the keyword theme here is creative, resilient communications, because it really is about communications for growth and obtaining desires. So if we mix the aspect of the communications with working towards abundance, this could be anything from asking for a raise to to putting out a newsletter to all your clients to bring more income in. So this is creative, resilient communications for growth and obtaining desires. Now, the symbol here is the chariot, and you can kind of see this again as is it's conducive to travel and to change and to success. The ruling planet here is the moon, of course. And this is, so every moon has a state, or planet has a state, kind of like what we see in Western astrology with whether it's hot or cold. Um, this moon in the Jyotish is what we call arriving, and it's a transition moon. So that's what I'm saying. This is a really important moon because we're going to really feel a shift in the collective, and of course we see that with Uranus triangulating Pluto right now, and a couple other things that are happening, which I'll bring out a little bit later when we're talking about the charts. But this is really a moon that's announcing a transition point, or a really important inflection point. So if you put these two together, and if you go to the next slide, with favorable activities on this full moon, these are some of the favorable activities. Any type of leadership, taking administration or taking charge. So let's say that you want to take charge of a project or take charge of the holiday party. This is great. Assisting any elders here over the holidays. Planning and creating new enterprises, because there is an entrepreneurial aspect to these nakshatras and creating a new enterprise. So if you're at the end of the year, you're thinking about starting a new business or something new into the new year, this is a great time to get things going. Exploration travel, of course, because we're dealing with this Navamsa of Sagittarius and Gemini. I think we already saw that on your screen earlier. The energy of Sagittarius and Gemini is about travel and movement. It's air and fire. Um, and that's what the Navamsas for these nakshatras are. And then advocating for a cause. Um, so if you wanted to take in charge of the Toys for Tots program for getting toys out to the children, this is a really good time to do that over the holidays, or help the needy over the holidays. It's good for self-improvement and abundance, as I've already mentioned. Activities requiring responsibility, and actually also planting and agriculture, because we saw with the moon in Rohini. So again, this kind of gives us an idea of some, how the sun and the moon are playing out for us, and some themes there, and some activities. What do you think?
Well, I like that how you shared the nakshatras with us and gave us some suggestions for the month ahead. That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
It has a lot of meaning.
Yep.
So we're going to look at the astrology chart for Seattle, and the ascendant is at 24 degrees Taurus, and the ruling planet of that is Venus in Sagittarius. The midheaven is 28 degrees Capricorn, and the ruling planet is Saturn in Pisces. The sun is 13 degrees Sagittarius, and Jupiter in Cancer is its ruling planet. And the moon is 13 degrees Gemini, and Mercury in Scorpio corresponds to that ruling planet. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that, Justin?
Well, one thing. Oh no, no. I'll wait till we get to the other slide.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Sabian symbols for the sun and the moon. And the Sabians were channeled in 1925 by spiritualist medium Elsie Wheeler. And they're a saying that kind of makes a picture, or the words make a picture. It's like a poem, but it could just be a few words. And so we're going to start with the sun at 13 degrees, and we cover 3 degrees. So we do 1 degree ahead, the leading up to the degree of, and then what's next for the next degree. So would you start us off, Justin?
Sure. So leading into the degree for the sun here, we got Sagittarius 12 degrees, and the archetypal symbol is a flag turns into an eagle, the eagle into a chanticleer, saluting the dawn. And so the keynote here is spiritualization and promotion of symbols, and by New Age minds sensitive to its precursor manifestations. And we got the key phrase of enunciation.
And then the degree that it's at, Sagittarius 13, a widow's past brought to light, and keynote karma of past actions as it affects opportunities presented by a new cycle. Retribution is a key phrase.
And then what it's moving towards, Sagittarius 14 degrees, the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. And the keynote here is enduring power of occult knowledge and divine custodians, a previous cycle of existence. Key phrase here is power of spiritual ancestry.
And how would you sum these up, Justin?
Well, we know Sagittarius is very philosophically oriented here, and um, I think back to the Nishaktra, which the sun was in, which is Chayesta, which is about advocating for a cause and power to conquer and overcome, and belief systems. And that's what we're kind of talking about here, about belief systems there with the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, and power issues, and a new cycle with the widow's past brought to light. And then of course sort of that enunciation, that's sort of that advocating for something there. And so I think this just backs up what I was talking about with the Nashaktra, that this is a good time to kind of focus on our beliefs and our causes. And I think we got the ability to really make some headway or progress right now.
Right, it feels like change is afloat.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then for the moon at 13, and we're gonna start at leading up to Gemini 12, a Black girl fights for her independence in the city, liberation from the ghosts of the past, and the key phrase is liquidation of the past, virgin minds for virgin fields.
And then Gemini 13, a famous pianist giving a concert performance. The keynote there is individual fulfillment in the performance of our social function in which some prestige is attached. And the key phrase is a potential source of inspiration.
And then Gemini 14, bridging physical space and social distinction, two men communicate telepathically. The capacity to transcend the limitations of bodily existence. And the key phrase is technique of transcendence. So, how would you sum these ones up, Justin?
Well, these again relate to me to communications again. And I think we've talked about that in the Nishaktras there. Because, um, it looks like when we say liquidation of the past, virgin minds for virgin fields, it's almost like clearing the hard drive, or
Mm.
that nishakta, which is about purging, so that new information can come in. And I think that's kind of at this end of this trend. Here we get near the end of the year, about ready to have the winter solstice. We're in a transition point here, and it's about letting go of some things, and I think there's a big thing to do with communication here because of the telepathic thing and focusing on, what we've already talked about a little bit about Mercury.
Yes, I agree with that communication, and I like all the rest of what you said also too. So communication is key now.
Yes.
So here's the Gemini full moon again. And here we're going to look at the aspects that the moon is making. The moon is opposite the sun, Venus, and Juno. Um, the moon is square the nodes, trine Pallas Athena, quincunx Vesta, and sesquiquadrate Pluto. So what jumps out at you, Justin?
Well, I wanted to go to the challenge here. I think the fact that it's sesquadrate Pluto, and Pluto for the West Coast, and Pluto and Uranus, I think, are really important to look at in both the West Coast chart or the East Coast chart, because they've been training for a while, as we know. But in the West Coast chart, this jumped out to me with Pluto at the midheaven and Uranus at the ascendant for the West Coast. And this is really a big change, when Pluto is near an angle and Uranus is near an angle. Um, and I think it's just, again, indicative of the big change that's happening in the collective. And if we looked at that from a mundane astrology perspective, West Coast perspective, mundane, because that's the ascendant for the West Coast, we could see some changes in some leadership on the West Coast because of Pluto in the 10th house. Um, and the other thing too, I think it's bringing in a challenge with the moon squaring the nodes. I know we don't talk about the nodes sometimes too much, over sometimes the planets, but I think the fact that the moon is tension with the nodes indicative of the change that is going on, and it really highlights how much we have to be in touch with our um, our emotions at this time, with the changes that we want to accomplish. And I might also say, if we took a wider orb, the moon is could also be said that it's actually also opposite Mars, but it'd be a wide orb.
Right, that's correct.
But that's just my thoughts on this, that this is really the moon's pointing out for me, that it's saying, hey, some big changes are happening here. And I think it's the fact that it's squaring the nodes is it does bring in an element sort of a standstill, emotional standstill a little bit here.
Well, thank you. And, Uranus on that ascendant and Pluto on the midheaven, it's like there certainly is some change of float, and you could say change in power. So, yes, it could be a physical person, but it could just be a shift in how that dynamic works.
Yeah, and what jumps out to you in this chart? What do
Well,
you think? Really caught your eye first?
I think that that moon opposite Venus, Sun, and Juno, and like you say, Mars is right there too. So, I kind of intuitively get this feel like that there's a change in people's relationships that could be, um, because you move. So it's kind of just happens and it changes that of your relationship with that Mars. It's like maybe sudden or unexpected, but it could be because some kind of move is involved with that. So,
Right, right. Awesome.
okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the moon being square the nodes, but it's also opposite the sun and all at 13 degrees. So that makes a grand mutable cross. And so I put the two oppositions in there and then the squares. And so I, really filled it in with the lines so that we could um, take a deep dive. And it's interesting because it's really tight because they're at 13, so they're all in the same degree, so that's very, very tight. And lots of times to me a cross is being pulled in different directions, and the south node can be how we're accustomed to doing things, or the past, and the north node is ha- perhaps where we're going towards, or what we're trying to bring in, or what's change we're working with. So, it's super active right now. So what would you like to say about the mutable cross?
No, I agree. I think it's important to think about mutable is really about change. And then if we look back in medieval astrology, they looked at mutable is it's mutable signs are always in the seasons where the weather changes. So here we're going from fall to winter with the winter solstice, and this is a mutable sign at this time of year in Sagittarius. And I think this the fact that all 4 points here are mutable really speaks to a big shift in transition. Like I said, this moon in the Jyotish is arriving, and it's announcing a transition point that's kind of important, an inflection point in the year.
Absolutely. I'm already feeling the changes in my life, so
And one of the things is because the nodes are Virgo and Pisces, I feel it is asking us, especially South Node and Virgo, is asking us that we need to, if you haven't improved something this year or purged something, which is what Virgo is about, which is about improving or purging or perfecting something, um, it's going to happen. It's you're being pushed to make some changes. Um, and I think if we're, with whatever we're working on in our lives and improving this year, because the South Node in Virgo, this is a point where if we have a project, there's some change that's going to happen in it right now, or transition point.
thank you for that. Okay, so here's the water grand trine, and we have that between Mercury and Scorpio, trine Jupiter and Cancer, trine Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, and then it does form into a kite with Uranus and Taurus. So again, Mercury's involved here, so communication is really strong, and Jupiter usually makes things bigger that it touches, and it's about family, so communication around family perhaps, and then that Saturn and Neptune. Saturn's structure and Neptune's dreamy or dreams and stuff. So what would you say?
Well, I think Saturn here brings some challenges with our emotions and communications in the collective, and I think the fact that Saturn is involved, which is bringing some challenge or obstacle, and then Jupiter is retrograding. I think this is really a time where we're being challenged, and it's a really great time to confront emotional issues within the family, what emotional issues within the collective, and don't shy away from them. And that's where we were looking at with Jayesta, that there could be some harsh communications right now with Mercury there in Scorpio with this. And so this is a good time as we work out emotional issues or emotional healing right now here, um, and confront those challenges, is to just be careful how we, and make sure we're kind and respectful.
Thank you for that. Anything else you'd like to say about this aspect?
No, that's all I would say. What did you think about that
Well, it's
aspect?
like, it's moving and they usually are getting along well, but, don't get stuck in that water grand trine, and we've had the planets changing with the point in Scorpio. We've had Mars there, the Sun, Venus, now we have Mercury, so it's kinda keeping this, grand trine going, but with different characters adding their, I'd say, 2 cents into the pie. So,
Yeah.
our emotions can be a little bit high because it is a water sign, so it's very emotional, and, but it's moving, so just work through it and be kind to yourself and be kind to others.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if I may add one thing, I always like to point out to people that, you know, don't look at it trying as good or bad. um it, because it could be an easy flow of negative energy. You know what I mean? Just as much as it can be an easy flow of positive energy. So it's really just about an emotional river,
Mhm.
and how are you going to react to this emotional river? Are you going to, and you take the higher road or the low road?
Exactly. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna look at the lunar phase family or gestation cycle. It uses the same lunar phases as new first quarter, full, and last quarter or third quarter. And each phase lasts approximately 9 months. And so, like, each month we have a monthly lunar cycle, but with this system, it's a 3-year lunar cycle to get through the 4 phases. So we're in the middle of that phase, and the new phase started June 6th of 2024 at 16 degrees Gemini. The first quarter was March 6th of 25 at 16 degrees Gemini, and we're at the full phase December 4th, 2025 at 13 degrees Gemini, and the third quarter phase will be September 4th at 2026. And sometimes it's, if you keep a journal or you kinda know maybe what you were doing in June of '24, you can go back and reflect and see how what you might have started or begun at that point, and how is it moving forward? Is it time to, like, just let it go, or is it really coming together? So I like to use these phases for that. Would you like to add anything, Justin?
No.
And then the yearly lunar phase, the Gemini new moon was May 26th of 2025 at 6 degrees. That should be 6 degrees Gemini. I didn't change it, sorry. And Gemini full moon is December 4th at 13 degrees Gemini. And so that just kind of tells you how you've gone through the year, and you're now halfway through at that full phase. It should be bringing some results or illumination. Would you like to add anything?
No, 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 I think you got it covered.
Thank you. And I want to thank Justin for joining me today and our audience for joining us. And we have a few slides to finish up with. So, Justin and I are consulting astrologers, and you can contact us for an appointment. We both have newsletters and YouTube channels, so we always appreciate your subscribing and giving us a like. And I'll let Justin tell you about what he's doing.
Yeah, so I'm again an archetypal Western astrologer and also a Jyotish astrologer, And the best way to get a hold of me is through my email at justin.lz@gmail.com, or you can find me on YouTube at Astrological Yogi.
Thank you. And I have a variety of other shows. Justin joins me a few times each month, so we have a nice archive of shows. I have the Astrology Star Sisters that we do a variety of topics. So come back and join us in the future and check out some of the other videos. And Justin and I will be on Talk Cosmos talking about the Sagittarius new moon on Sunday, December 14th. And we are part of the Archetypal Symbols team. So we look forward to seeing you there. And you can watch it on my channel or Justin's. And I want to thank our sponsor, Astro Peregrine Software, an astrology software for Mac and Windows. And you can find out information at their website, astroperegrine.com. And Justin, I want to thank you again for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on again, and I look forward to having you on again soon.
All right. Well, thank you, Liz, for letting me talk with you about the full moon. And I just hope everybody has a great season. And I hope they tune in for our new moon show.
Thank you. We're going to say goodbye for now.